Chicago is arguably the only other US city with a cultural identity strong enough to fully carry a GTA storyline. The modern-day gang life of South Chicago, O-Block, and a rap scene that helped define modern hip-hop, a skyline rivaling even New York, a rich history of mobsters like Al Capone.
Let's get it clear. The first skyscraper was invented in Chicago. The first skyscraper was made in Chicago. So let's not get it twisted. It wasn't New York, it was Chicago. Apparently, this is the reason why Rockstar and the Grand Theft Auto series refused to add Chicago to one of the locations in their games. They did New York, they did Miami, they did Los Angeles, but where is Chicago? Chicago is one of the main places that people talk about when it comes to violence, when it comes to crime, when it comes to theft. Why aren't they portrayed in any light in these games? We're going to find out. Here we go.
Why did I move here? I guess it was the weather.
For the past 25 years, Grand Theft Auto games have consistently taken place in just 3 major locations: Liberty City, Los Santos, and Vice City. Together, these cities and their real-life counterparts form the holy trinity of American pop culture. Places we've grown up seeing on the news, in movies, on social media, and of course in GTA games themselves. Still, there's one more American city that carries at least the same, if not more, cultural weight, and yet it has never made an appearance in a single GTA game: Chicago. I'm certain you've all thought about it at least once. Why is it that the city of Southside rap, Al Capone, the Obamas, Kanye West, the Bulls, King Von, and the O-Block has never been featured in any GTA titles whatsoever? Does Rockstar have some kind of a quiet grudge against Chicago? Furthermore, why hasn't it ever been seriously considered, even when voice actors like Nate Luke have openly called it the perfect setting?
Chicago,
yeah.
Fuck yeah.
And I'm amazed, frankly, that they haven't done Chicago.
And finally, could it still be possible that we will see a Chicago-based GTA in the future, even though it hasn't happened in the last 29 years? Well, these are the questions many GTA players have asked themselves and others on Reddit for at least the past 10 years. So, to find real answers for this video, I dug deep into the dusty corners of old gaming forums, Reddit threads, and even long-forgotten Rockstar Zone interviews. What I found were not just theories, but surprisingly solid explanations for Chicago's absence from the GTA universe. And more interestingly, clues as to whether that might ever change. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. To start things off, Chicago is by far the most requested location that has never made it into the GTA universe. Not only hasn't the GTA game taken place in Chicago, the place literally doesn't even exist. Unlike places like Texas, which have actually been directly mentioned in GTA games, Chicago doesn't even have an in-game name. Over the years, there have been countless Reddit threads and forum discussions dissecting Rockstar's decision to leave the city out of the universe. In fact, the demand for the city has been so high that fans themselves have created full Chicago City mods for GTA 5, which often rival the size and complexity of Los Santos itself. And credit where it's due, the community isn't wrong. Chicago is arguably the only other US city with a cultural identity strong enough to fully carry a GTA storyline. The modern-day gang life of South Chicago, O-Block, and a rap scene that helped define modern hip-hop, a skyline rivaling even New York, a rich history of mobsters like Al Capone.
Let's get it clear. The first skyscraper was invented in Chicago. The first skyscraper was made in Chicago. So let's not get it twisted. It wasn't New York, it was Chicago.
Bone, a sprawling urban area with a strong variety of cityscapes, and a movie scene comparable to rest of the major cultural capitals. When you put it all together, it feels almost embarrassing that we have never experienced this city in the GTA universe.
Real as hell,
So why hasn't it happened? Well, according to what I ultimately found on the internet, there are 3 major theories that might explain this situation. And that's exactly what we're going to take a look next. Let's start with perhaps the most controversial theory. There are people who actually believe that Chicago does already exist in the game and that we have actually already been there. Now I know that this sounds absolutely ridiculous, but there is actually a point to it. You see, many people believe that Chicago is represented by Carcer City in-game. For those of you not familiar, Carcer City was the setting for another game called Manhunt, a Rockstar title released in 2003. While Manhunt itself isn't a GTA game, it's still widely accepted that the city as well as the game's actions probably did take place within the same shared GTA universe. There's the identical store change that appear in both Manhunt's Carcer City and GTA Vice City. The name Carcer City shows up inside a Liberty City police database in GTA 4, and Michael himself even confirms that he robbed a bank there back in 1988.
Mikey, bro, what was your first bank score?
88, outskirts of Carcer City. Took a small franchise for 10G. Yeah, things were easier back then.
Yeah, 25 years ago. Jesus!
So it really isn't a question of if Carcer City exists, it most definitely does. And giving credit to those who actually believe it to be Chicago, the theory has some strong points that support it. We know Carcer City to be a really crime-ridden city, which Chicago is definitely well known for. We know that Carcer City is also a Rust Belt city, which also doesn't rule out Chicago. And you know how the GTA city names always look somewhat similar to their real-life counterparts?
Chicago,
well,
Carcer.
to me, Carcer City and Chicago too also sound quite similar.
Are they
But
reaching?
here's where
reaching,
the
chat?
theory falls apart. For every detail that seems to connect Carcer City to Chicago, there is another that points somewhere else entirely. One in-game reference mentions a river fire taking place in Carcer City, a detail that lines up almost perfectly with the infamous 1969 river fire in Detroit, not Chicago. And the geography makes it even murkier. In GTA 4, Carcer City is said to be located roughly 100 miles from Liberty City, a distance that fits cities like Philadelphia, but completely rules out Chicago, which according to Google Maps is around 800 miles from the Big Apple. So, despite Carcer City definitely having many features of Chicago, it looks more like a made-up so-called Anywhere city, similar to what Rockstar created for GTA 2. Furthermore, even if it was confirmed that Chicago was indeed Carcer City, which it isn't, but let's just pretend for a moment, even then it wouldn't really change anything, because there still hasn't been a single GTA title that would have taken place in Carcer City. Just because it exists in the universe doesn't mean that the game has actually taken place there. There are also mentions of San Fierro and Las Venturas across GTA 5, but it doesn't really mean that GTA 5 actually included these places on the map. So we have to keep looking for another answer. while I was digging through literally thousands of Reddit posts and comments, it became quite obvious to me that Chicago is the most requested US city that players want to see in a potential future GTA title, which also confirms the poll results that you guys gave me when I asked which unused location you guys would want to see us go to. Now, filtering out all the extremely hopeful GTA 7 in Chicago comments, there's one argument that on multiple occasions caught my attention. Many players seem to argue that the main reason Chicago has been left out is because it's just too similar to New York City, especially for players living outside of the US. And not to say that this is 100% true, but it definitely has some.
That's cap, because people all over the world know about Chicago, bro. They're not gonna think that it's just another New York. People all over the world know about Chicago, bro. They know about Chicago in Europe, Africa, Australia, Asia. They know about Chicago, gang.
Ground. Think about it. What first comes to mind when a person from neither of these cities thinks about New York City? Most likely, the first answer is a skyline comparable to no other, a climate often too cold for most people's likings, and a metropolis not shy of any other global cities around the world. Now think about Chicago, a skyline like no other, a freezing climate on the shore of Great Lakes, and a huge global city with major influence around the world. It's more or less the same vibe. And now, if you were to compare New York City to Chicago, most of the time the ball will always roll in New York's favor. It's bigger, more well known, attracts more players to buy the game, it is more global, and most importantly, Rockstar's own headquarters are in NYC, which makes it easier for them to develop a city they already know. Now, of course, this is not at all my own conclusion or in any way the final truth, although this theory does seem to hold its ground, at least at first sight. However, what I think is way more important for you guys is the question if Chicago has the chance to become the main POI for a GTA title in the future. According to Ned Luke's opinion, Chicago was one of the very few cities he actually insisted to be a good location for the game to be set in.
Alright, I'm gonna name some cities. You tell me if they would make a good city for a GTA game. Chicago.
Chicago.
Hell yeah.
Fuck yeah. And I'm
Hell yeah.
I'm amazed, frankly, that they haven't done Chicago.
Me too.
Chicago,
Is that supposed to be Michael?
trust me, being Chicago, me, Southside, I'm telling you, Chicago,
Chicago
fucking
would be lit.
kill it.
Of course, we have to take into account that Nate Luke is not the decider in any way for these kind of decisions in Rockstar's headquarters. Still, these types of opinions give us proof that it is a possibility that has never been publicly outlined. But more importantly, there is one single sentence said by Rockstar's creative director Dan Houser all the way back in 2009 that makes me quite optimistic that Chicago might have actually already been considered to be the setting for GTA 5, but it just wasn't chosen. You see, back when GTA 4 released in 2008, everyone was head over heels in love with Rockstar's creative team. In 2009, the British news outlet The Sunday Times made an interview with Dan Houser, where they, among other things, about the development process of a future GTA title. And Dan replied that they would first need to choose a location and then add characters around it. Now, initially, you might think that there isn't much information about Chicago here whatsoever. But you might actually be mistaken. You see, as we mentioned earlier, there are only 3 locations where GTA titles have historically taken place. the state of California, the Miami area, and New York City. And given that GTA 4 already took place in Liberty City, the only two options that would have remained would have been Miami and LA. Now, you might call this a step too far, but I truly believe that Rockstar didn't choose the setting of GTA 5 from just two locations, especially considering how Dan Houser emphasized that their first step would be to choose a place for the game. Call me crazy, but to me it is certain that other locations were also carefully considered. And given that GTA games will probably never take place outside of the US, Chicago is the #1 other choice for Rockstar.
If they do Brazil, that'd be crazy, bro. Like, imagine Grand Theft Auto, but in the favelas. You in the favelas and shit, you got motherfucking drug lords, cartels, and all type of shit. Like, that'd be crazy.
Games to actually consider. Now, why the decision didn't turn in Chicago's favor with GTA 5 is a whole another topic for another time. Anyway, where does all of this information ultimately leave us? Well, to reiterate what we have discussed so far, it is evident that Chicago has yet to be included or even mentioned in the GTA universe whatsoever, as Carcer City has been proven to not specifically represent Chicago or any other city for that matter. And to be honest, the fact that Rockstar hasn't made a single hint about Chicago in any of their games leaves me to wonder if they actually do that intentionally, to avoid giving the city a name that they might want to change later on in the series. Now, the reason why Chicago has again and again been outlined from being the location for a GTA title so far probably has a lot to do with the fact that for most of the international players, Chicago and NYC just look way too similar. And for the average player, Liberty City sounds way more attractive than whatever iteration of Chicago Rockstar would come up with. Nonetheless, this doesn't rule out the possibility of Chicago appearing in a future GTA title, or even a GTA DLC for perhaps GTA 6, especially considering that it has already been noted as a potential POI by famous and influential GTA voice actors. But until that actually happens, I have to admit, this is just a speculation. Anyway, that is it for this documentary. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
Man, bro, y'all remember that game Watch Dogs? That shit was kind of like Grand Theft Auto, but it was more on some like you can hack people, like you can hack people's bank accounts, and you can trace people, and you can like all different type of shit, you know what I'm saying? It was more on like some hacker type shit, but that game took place in Chicago. For some reason the game never really took off, you know, because people was I think this was back when like the PS5 or some shit was just coming out. That was one of the games that they was promoting for, you know, the system that was supposed to be one of those next generational games, but I don't know, it just ain't never take off like that. But yeah, man, I ain't gonna lie, man, if they put Grand Theft Auto in Chicago, that shit is gonna raise the violence. No fucking cap. That shit gonna raise the violence, because it's just man, bro, there's gonna be too much dark energy that's just, man, too much dark energy that's being added to the pot. It's not gonna be a good look, man. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's just God that's stopping it, because he knows. But make sure that you like this video, man. Comment on this video. Let me know how you feel. Do you guys want to see Chicago in the Grand Theft Auto series? Shit, man, if you do, you gotta write them niggas a letter, man. Talk to them niggas, hit them up in the DMs. Rockstar, I'm pretty sure that they know already, but it's something that's stopping it from happening. And I think that it may be because that shit is gonna be too real for the city. But make sure that y'all subscribe to my channel, man. Click that post notification bell. Till next time, stay safe out here. For real, bro.